The future of real estate in 2023 is very uncertain, and you've got two choices: adapt or die. In this episode of the Prime People Podcast, we dig into the mind of David Greenspan, and we talk about trends that have gotten people to where they are today, but how things are changing in a massive way. We talk about how the industry as a whole has some serious issues with it when it comes to coaching, speakers, what the word leads actually means, and what you can do to shift your mindset and absolutely thrive in 2023. If it's your first time coming to the Prime People Podcast, welcome. We have this live on YouTube, and there's an audio version on all platforms. Hit that subscription button and notification so you don't miss any future interviews. We'd have people like Ryan Serhant, Scott McGilvery, absolute monsters on this podcast. Go make sure to go to the back catalog for anything you could possibly want to learn. We help entrepreneurs and real estate agents with media, branding, sales, marketing, and all the tools that got them to where they are today. Enjoy the episode. I'm sure this is one you're going to want to catch on replay. So get that notepad and pen ready. What a shake, and Mr. Greenspan.
What is going on, brother? Pleasure to be here. Happy New Year to you, man.
Happy New Year. Yeah, we're shooting this couple days after New Year's 2022 going into 2023. I'm pretty fired up about this episode. We've known each other for a very long time. And I think having a discussion around the future of real estate now is one of the most important topics we can cover. So, did all your bio, did everything in the intro. What I really want to dig into right away with you is these are uncharted waters. Going into 2023, the market's in flux. Agents don't know what to do because volumes have dropped dramatically. We do know historically corrections do tend to shift themselves over time, but man, people just want to get through 2023. Bring ChatGPT into that, bring new technologies, bring, agents that are becoming influencers, people not knowing what to do. I mean, where do you think the future of the real estate industry is going? And then we can dig into what people can do to be resilient to changes.
Buddy, that is a fully loaded list of topics to cover off there. And if I could rapid fire all of them, I mean, well, I'll save that for the actual conversation here. But in terms of the market itself, like where's things going? Look, we know that nobody knows, right? When we talk about rates are still climbing, and I know somebody brought that up yesterday, and there were some concerns around that. We look at what's happening in terms of how many listings go on the market, what kind of sales are happening. Look, sure. You can't control the market, right? And that's probably the biggest message that I've got to any agent, any person in sales, never mind, right? Like, you can't control the market. You can't control your competition, but you can certainly control what you do every single day. And I think that as we talk about, the future and the future of real estate and the future of where things are going, I think we all have an opportunity to actually really define what that future looks like, right? And again, understanding that if I say that I want to get X amount of deals this year, I can do everything in my power to try to work towards that, close those, bank those, whatever. But I can't control that market, as we just said a moment ago. So if we don't get to that number, what is it? What else am I doing in life? What else am I doing for myself to say, okay, for me, am controlling my own future? Does that make sense, Just? Like,
it makes perfect sense.
Like, I want to do X amount of deals. I want to make X amount of money. Okay. And everybody always talks about how much money they want to make, how many deals they want to do. And that's where they set the bar in terms of the goals. One thing we got to understand, though, is that when you think about, and this is a perfect opportunity right now, go back about 2 weeks, maybe 3. Okay. And I know from my clients that we coach, like, we're going back 6, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people can go back like to yesterday, or might be in this mode today, which I'm going to say to those people, if you're doing that at the start of January, you're a little bit late on this now. You're very late, right? But the idea is this: if you sit back and think to yourself, how did I feel towards the end of the year? What did I do last year to get me to where I am today? Am I in the place I wanted to be today? Do I have changes that I want to make? Where do I want to be at this time next year? These are all little things that, again, when we think about the future, well, we only talk about money. We only talk about deals. What about personal? What about taking care of you? Like the elusive me time, right? Work-life balance. This is something that I believe that when we really create a roadmap for how we are going to take care of our physical, we're going to take care of our mental, we're going to take care of our relationships, we're going to take care of our family. When we get to, let's say, this time next year, and we've taken care of those things, even if we didn't hit the dollar figures that we wanted to hit, or the deals that we wanted to hit, or the award level we wanted to hit, there's got to be some solace in the fact that you took care of you. You took care of your family. And if we can take that and make that as important of a goal as it is for the money, well, now you're defining your future, right? Because here, you want to go future. I'll take you 20, 30, 40, 50 years, 60 years for some people, 80, 70 years for some people. We know, and again, you and I haven't experienced this yet, but we've seen it in movies, we've read it in books, we've seen the stories, we get it. When people are at that last final moment and somebody says, you know, if you could do it all over again, what would you do? Nobody talks about how much more money they would make. Oh, I wish I made more money. No. Most people think about taking care of themselves. Most people think about how much time they spend with family. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, this doesn't take us down the road to say, like, what does the future of the real estate market look like? But what I want to do is get more personal with everybody that's tuned in right now and say, look, again, you can't control that market, but you can control the things you do to take care of you. And yes, putting in the time to do your income producing activities, to build the mind share, to go out there and get more deals, talk to more people, make sure your marketing's on point, make sure you're driving business. Absolutely, they're goals. The income's a goal. The action plan to get to the income is what are you going to do every day to put in the, you know, effort to get the results. Just as important as the income has to be the personal. So again, as we talk about future, I think that that's a really important point for everybody to understand, because nobody knows what the future holds.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And the other reason I was excited to bring you on the podcast was you and I have had an interesting journey where we've seen transitions over the last decade of how people went out there and built mind share, how they built brand equity, how they did sales, and it's all transitioning very quickly. I think over the last 2 years, what we've noticed more than anything is the humanity coming back to our business. Because I do feel for a period of time, it was all about taking the photo in front of the listing and the lifestyle photo shoot and putting forth this brand image. And it worked because people build platforms. I spoke out, openly about the celebritization of our industry and how dangerous I think it is. And we're seeing that now, where I'm still seeing people putting forth this celebrity image of who they are as a real estate agent, super tone deaf, that the entire world, the stock market's down 30%, the real estate market's down 30%. It's everything. It's not one thing. It's across the globe. And I think a lot of people are going back to the well and saying, okay, how can I serve my community and humanity better than maybe I was in the past, right? And I think marketing's a tool, brand equity is a tool. All those things are a tool. But, from that transition or the history of how people build brands in the past, how do you think that they can do that in a way that brings out the best version of themselves moving forward?
I think people need to focus on, and look, again, we're talking to business people, we're talking to salespeople right now. I would say focus on your niche market, right? We've used this new sort of term called avatar, but focus on the people right? We've got a population of 36 million up here north of the border. There's 360 million down south of the border. Like, the numbers are the numbers, but it'd be nice, to do a deal for every single one of those people. It's not reality. Yeah. So let's go back to figuring out who is the audience that we're trying to get in front of, who is the audience we're trying to connect with, who is the audience that we're trying to deal with, right? Understanding who those people are. Now it turns back and says, okay, so what are you going to do to market to those people? How are you going to show who you are as a brand? And I love the topic on this. I love the fact that you brought it up, because you're absolutely right. There's a lot of realtors right now that are circling back and saying, okay, what can I do to expand what I'm doing? And man, we have seen a ton of people come out and I love the fact that you've called it out, this celebritization of the business. There's a whole bunch of things going wrong here. Okay. There's a whole bunch of things, man. And I'm going to put it out there right now because, that's what we love to do. Sure. First and foremost, we're not focused on what we need to be doing every single day. What you need to be doing is making the phone calls and connecting with people. Mm-hmm. That's it. This is a relationship business. Go out and build relationships. Yeah, too many people are so focused on going, let me take that picture in front of that whatever and say, look at me, so I can grow my Instagram followers. But that's not what this game is all about. Yes, you can build mind share through social. Yes, you can build mind share through some brand equity. Absolutely. But understand, at the end of the day, no matter what you're selling, what business you're in, this comes down to, what are you doing for me? How are you servicing me? How are you creating the best experience for me? Now, I hear it often. Yeah, but my clients don't want to be called. Yeah, but they don't want the newsletter. They don't want the email, right? And you're sitting there going, but so what are you doing to connect with people? Are you just going to listen to it? Because I'll tell you this, for everybody tuned in right now, think about all the emails you get in your inbox every single day. Do you want all those emails? No, you don't. You think the senders care? No, they don't. You think McDonald's, Nike, or Coca-Cola cares? They don't. That's why they're the biggest of the big. So there's something to be said about repetition and consistency around your marketing efforts, but there's also something to be said about the hustle that you put into that. And it's funny that we talk about this now, because I put this out to my coaching group this morning about make it personal, right? Yes, it's one thing to send a big email blast to everybody going Happy New Year, right? And again, time of the year we're in right now. Yes, it's one thing to put it on social media, and I'm not saying don't. But what I am saying is if you think you just hit the heartstrings with that stuff, no, you didn't. You didn't even come close. Where that's going to come from is putting a little bit of pen to paper. Where that's going to come from is picking up a phone and saying, yo, what's up? How are you? How's the family? How was the holidays? Those little personal connections are what are going to build not only the like you or the know you, but the like you. The like you then extends to and I know this sounds cliche, everybody, but the like you extends to the trust you. And hey, where do deals come from? Trust you, right? Where do listings come from? Trust you. And you've got to get to that spot. So we've got to make it personal. So through the marketing of what everybody's doing to build up the brand, always think I've got to be more personal with my people. Now, we still have people pushing back on that. Yeah, but I'd rather run ads. Yeah, but I'd rather, go out and get a social media manager and a video person. And you and I both have that. We both play in that arena. We understand, though, that there's such a bigger picture to it. What's gotten me now is that we've got a lot of people that have started to change what it is they're doing on a daily basis. So instead of really focusing on building up their real estate business or focusing on servicing clients and helping clients, find the right home for themselves, be it sell, buy, whatever, people want to start a podcast. People want to run around with a videographer. People want to all of a sudden, like every realtor I know is a speaker now. Right. And they get glorified as speakers at these events. And you sit there and go, I've never even heard of these people before. Why are they there? What are they doing? Yeah. Then the thing that kills me is so many people, and not everybody. And we know that this business right here, it's like anything else, 95-5, right? 5% of the people are doing 95% of the business. 95% of the people are doing nothing. Right.
Same with the speakers, I feel. Personally, and it's funny, you touched so many points. I wanted to stop you like 3 times because
I told you about that. You opened a can of worms on that one.
No, there's some things that we shifted. I just want to ask to see if you've seen the same shift in your world. So I'll go through them point by point. I'll get to the speakers last. First, you talk about that human personal connection. I really noticed that online leads are not near the quality that they were previously. When the shift happened in May, I read the book Shift. We ran a book club. We actually turned off a lot of our online lead generations. We still have a budget. We still do it, but not near close to what we did before. And we started looking at, somebody told me this once, if you never got another lead, how differently would you treat your database and your past clients and friends? And we got belly to belly. Have you seen that shift with your clients as well?
1,000,000%, man. I've seen that. Look,
yeah.
I go back to the first time that I learned about this whole online leads. It goes right back to chatbots when those first came out as well, if you remember that.
Dude, what was that? Like 2013-ish? 14 maybe?
Something like that. Yeah, something like that. I remember
being at
an event. Dude, why you ever real with all these great?
It is what it is, man. It's all good.
But I remember being at this event, Justin. I was watching the guy on stage talk about this thing. And I was just trying to process it. And all these little red flags started popping up in my head about, well, what about this? What about this? What about that? Anyhow, we saw this curve, right? And everybody started to try this thing. And then we saw the tabletop. And I think we saw that about 3 years ago, start the tabletop, maybe 4. Just prior to COVID, we saw the tabletop start, where it was like, well, I don't really know. I've tried it. Now, some people have had and continue to have tons of success with it.
Sure.
I want to caution anybody that has not or is thinking about it. Don't just think you're going to emulate somebody who's having a ton of success, because you have no idea what's going on in the background. I'm not saying don't try. Just saying don't just go spend the money.
Flow, right?
Well, dude, you can't do it with a blindfold on and go, yeah, I've spent the money. The ads are going to generate business.
Facebook leads don't work. I hate hearing that, right? Because it's not that they don't work. It's you haven't learned how to talk to them, right?
This is the idea, the offer, the funnel, right? What is the action plan? When do you kick in as a real human being? Because if you, again, a buddy of mine had said this many times before, but, set it and forget it. It's set it and forget you, right? Yeah. So the whole action plan, drip campaigns, automation, like it's got to be there, but there's got to be an element of personalization, because like we just said a moment ago, that's what this business is about.
I'm going to pause you again. your experience, because the reason I'm just pausing is I think this is so important to our conversation. What do you think is the best action plan for an online lead? Is it the phone call, the human phone call first, and then drip, or?
You know what? I would say this. I'd say that anytime you're going to get something that happens where somebody submits something, right, there should be a trigger that happens immediately. Therefore, if I go and download your thing or submit my name, whatever that landing page, that form is that I basically fill out, immediately there should be an action. And I do believe that action should be even a very simple, like, thank you email. Hey, thank you. And bang, here's what's about to happen next. Okay. And if you say to the person, look, you acknowledge that the form got submitted, you've basically acknowledged in the email, because it's immediate. You're not going to make the phone call that quickly. You're just not. And look, I've got to bring something up on this front, okay? The online lead world is like, and I compare it to two things. One is like playing the game of whack-a-mole, and two is like the Wild Wild West. And I'm talking back in the 1800s, the shootouts, where they'd walk, backwards and all of a sudden turn around, and first guy to pull the trigger wins. Mm-hmm. This is how you run your business? Yeah. You sit there waiting for the email to go off so you can be the first person. What the hell else are you doing with your day? Yeah. Forgive me. That's where I go with this whole thing. So again, from a process perspective, hey, how about this? You put out the form. The email comes out immediately and says, hey, thank you very much. It then says, look, here's what's about to happen. I'm going to call you at, not with a number, but I'm going to call you within the hour, or I'm going to call you today, or I'm going to, the next thing you're going to get is an email from me. Tell them what's going on next. Mm-hmm. Right? So yes, the response time is important, but yes, I do believe that first trigger should be something that just acknowledges that I just submitted the form and tells me what's about to happen next.
Yeah, okay. I like that sequence a lot. I think it brings in the humanity. And I don't know if I got you off track from your previous point, but if you want to carry on that thought, feel free. If not, I got another one for you.
Yeah, so here, I just want to finish the thing about the leads, right? Because we saw that tabletop, and then we've seen the decline. We've seen the decline, and that's to answer the direct question there. Like, we've seen the decline in a big way where people are not getting the same quality of opportunities that are coming through. We can look at, and look, man, there's a million reasons why this happened, but I can tell you the influx of companies that are offering online lead generation. At the end of the day, there's only so many people that are actually going and submitting their names on a form, right? There's only so many. And I'll go even further to say that if every single person is working their database properly, then these online leads don't really, they're not as plentiful, if that makes sense, right? Because if I've got my circle of 500, 1,000 people, whatever it is, right? And depending on however many, and I'll tell everybody here, you want your database as a realtor, an individual realtor, somewhere between the 300 and 700 range. That I know people are making tons of money at, okay? But if you've got that circle, and you're doing everything you possibly can to build the mind share, stay in touch, build the relationships, you'll never score 100%. But you're certainly going to limit your 300 to 700 from ever being somebody else's online lead. Right? So again, if you, couple little action steps here for everybody here. You take a pen, you write down everybody you know on a piece of paper. If it would piss you off if they work with somebody else, put them on your list, period. Yeah. Because you can't blame them. You got to blame yourself. If somebody has a roof over their head, and you look at them and go, nah, they wouldn't work with me. Why? They got a roof over their head. Let's put them on the list. Build a relationship. This will limit the amount of online leads. The last point I want to make about this. Although we have glorified this term lead, I'm a person. I'm a homeowner. I'm a father, a husband. I'm not a lead. I'm a human being. So people should treat the people that are coming through as human beings. And when you do that and you personalize the situation, hey, man, this is where you win more, right? Like I could talk to you all day about hockey and how much my team is better than yours, right? And we can have some fun with that. Yeah, we can have some fun with that conversation. But dude, there's a commonality together, right? And now we start to build again the know you, like you, trust you. So
I think it's
anyhow,
it's
the whole thing on online leads, that's kind of, I could go off about that for hours.
Well, I wanted to bring it up because you're one of the unique people that I think has had the perspective of seeing shifts in the market and where agents are trying things and what's working and what's not working and what could be working in the future. I've also seen those shifts. I mean, we met, I think it was the Snapchat days from like the Snap Pack. And then we ran through, a history of us building our individual business, old school days, right? Now I'm seeing different trends on where, let's dig into where people are learning or trying new things and where you're seeing things working. Because, you touched on a great point. real estate agents ruin everything. You talk about Google SEO back in the day. I still do PPC. I still do Google for, again, strategic campaigns, but I'm not competing with the AAA brands in the world that are spending millions of dollars so that they can rank highest on those keywords. I'm doing it with organic content on YouTube and Google reviews because they can't beat me in that sphere because their people don't necessarily care about them as much as mine care about me. Awesome. Then I went to Facebook ads. Then I went to Instagram. Then I went to TikTok. Now, and tell me if I'm wrong, I think that Twitter and LinkedIn are two power moves for 2023. I have seen more traction on Twitter. I'm looking to move all my Clubhouse audience over to Twitter Spaces. LinkedIn, a mutual friend of ours, Judy Fox, showed me how to clean it up and really get dialed in. I almost compare it to your database thing saying, hey, if you can get 300 to 700 people that you're very focused, you're going to see more success. I'm seeing it on Twitter and LinkedIn. Where are you kind of playing in 2023? Is it YouTube? Is it all the different places?
I love the question, man. It's funny because we just got well, I say just, it was probably obviously prior to the new year, but a whole marketing meeting, you know, we do this over a series of weeks. And one of the things that we had talked about was limiting any ad spend to a Facebook platform. Instagram for me is still, when I talk about a platform, it's probably dare I use the word enjoyable, because I don't know how much I enjoy social media anymore. I really don't.
Sure.
I think that there's a lot of toxicity out there. I think that there's a lot of posturing. I think that there's a lot going on in that platform, in those platforms that is just, it's kind of comical. You know, it's upsetting sometimes. I'm watching agents who over the holidays, you know, we're going to holiday parties and they have those 360 view cameras, and I'm watching people I know that are dancing and doing funny stuff. And I'm going, like, I know you as a human being, and I know for myself, as much as I understand that it's trending to do that right now, like,
sure,
you're just a sheep. You're literally just a sheeple. You're doing the exact same thing as everybody else because that's the moment. But is that who you are? And hey, if it is, fine, go ride with it. But there's people that I've seen doing it that I'm looking, going, like, what are you trying to attract right now? All you're trying to do is the exact same thing as everybody else. And I want to say to everybody, stop that shit. If I can say it like that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, you can say it like that.
Dude, it's Halloween. Okay. Halloween, there was some mock costume cover that came out. And all of a sudden we started seeing, you probably remember that one, right? And everybody's doing their thing and, you know, their cause. Why? Because everybody else is doing it. Look, you want to win the marketing game? Stand out, be you, be unique. Again, dare I use the word authentic? This is like using the word pivot from a couple of years ago, right? They just played out, but be who you are. Be comfortable with who you are. You will attract your people when you really are who you are. Now, when it comes to the platforms, again, Instagram is something we play in a lot. In fact, we play a lot on Facebook. I will tell everybody right now, as much as I believe it's very, very important to get in there and scroll and engage and do it with purpose. Okay. Schedule the time you're going to do this stuff. I can't stand scrolling much anymore just because of all the fake stuff you see, as you alluded to a little bit earlier here. Okay. But I'm on Instagram. We do it. We spend a ton of time in terms of, like, you know, putting content out there, and it's a big driver for us. It's great. TikTok is somewhere we are. I don't spend a ton of time. Twitter is something that we're going to be sort of investing some more time, and I'll come back to both those platforms. LinkedIn is somewhere we spend time. So when you talk about which platforms right now, I would tell you this. I think Facebook is a dying duck. I don't think that it's got the allure that it used to have. I think that the younger,
is it useful for your groups and like group communication?
I believe it is, and I still use it for that. By all means, we've got a coaching.
That's what I think it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think brand awareness, some lead gen stuff like that. But I agree, their UI is. What did they do last week? Oh, they did something on posts where if you click now, it says show starred comments first, like as the default. So it only shows comments that people paid for. You have to click through to get to all comments. And as a user, I'm like, this is ridiculous. Now you're making me work to get to my audience and engage with them. I hate this.
Dude, the whole platform is
pushing
ridiculous.
me to the other platforms.
Yeah, the whole platform, I can't stand it. Like I literally, it is so convoluted. It's become so complicated to get anything done.
It is.
Go into your notifications. Go to look at the comment that somebody, you look at that one, all of a sudden it changes your profile. It does this. It does,
9 different profiles and switching
It's gotten
pages.
way too much, right? It's just gotten overcomplicated. And what people want these days, and this is something to take to a bigger picture than just social media, but people want simple, right? The world's become very simple. Short sound bites, right? We're watching, you know, my kids are watching shows. Every 3 to 4 seconds, the scenes are changing. Think about Reels, TikTok, whatever, Twitter, few lines. Why are they winning? Because it's short and sweet. Instagram, Facebook has screwed that all up, but Instagram is a powerful platform. LinkedIn is something we use, like I said. Now, where I'm going to answer that question, forgive me, long answer, short question.
No, you're good. Keep hammering.
Twitter is something that we've been talking about having more focus on because of the traction that Twitter is just picking up in a big way. And it's been a popular platform for years. Obviously, it is what it is. But there's something that's being said about the bright, shiny object around Twitter this upcoming year. So it's something that we are going to be looking further into. But like I say, act with purpose on social. Do you know the average amount of time somebody spends on social media in a day? I'm sure you do. No? They're saying on average, the average person spending about 3 hours of their day on social media.
That's less than I thought, to be honest with you.
Okay. Think
it's
about
a lot,
this. We got
but
20,
it's just, yeah.
You got 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
Now you take 3 of those, spend them on social, you got 21 left. How many hours do you sleep in a day?
6 to
right?
8,
So depending on
the person.
Okay, cool, right? So now you're left with what? 12 hours? 13, 14 hours to do stuff, right? You still got to eat, you still got to work, you might work out, who knows, you got stuff with family. There's only so many hours in a day, and if you spend 3 of those hours on social media scrolling what other people are posting, and this is again time of the year right now, if you've got goals, if you've got ambitions to be in a different place, let's say at this time next year than you were this time maybe last year, or at this moment right now, I want you to think about this. Every time you open up social media, every time you just aimlessly scroll to see what other shit that people are posting, you were giving them the attention and you were taking it away from your goals. You were taking it away from you. You are making their stuff more important than you, than what you want to achieve. And that is exactly why you continue to be in the exact same place you are today, and you will be here again next year. You want to change that right now and prove me wrong? And I love putting my foot in my mouth. Like, I love when people are like, dude, you were so wrong. I'm like, yeah, I know I lit you up then. But if you want to change that, schedule the time on social media. Okay. Say, I'm going to go on there from 10 to 10:30 this morning. I'm going to spend 30 minutes. I'm going to act with purpose. I'm going to engage with people. I'm going to make conversation with people. I'm going to post something, and then I'm going to be gone. Done. But just because that little notification comes up again this morning or later on this afternoon or right after you post, it doesn't mean to go grab it. Put it down. Let it be. It'll be there when you get back. I promise you. Right. And then you can go through your notifications because maybe you got another 30-minute block of time later on in the day to be able to do it. But if the first thing you're doing, did you ever read the book Think Like a Monk?
No, I've never read it.
Jay Shetty.
Okay.
I've had this this way of thinking about social media in my mind for some time now. This was a major change for me, Justin. You know, from that open your eyes in the morning, check social, check email, see what the world's doing. I know that messes with me. I know it's not the last thought I want at night, so I make sure that it's not the last thing I do at night. So I have completely, and this is a few years ago now, but I've completely changed the habit around when I look at my social, when I get involved. Now, for anybody who's like, dude, I follow you, you've got posts going out at 8 o'clock in the morning, remember, I have a team, okay? So I have a team. Yes, I'm the guy with the content, but I have a team that helps get things get done. Efficiencies, right? We're a business. The morning and the evening routine do not include it. And for everybody here, I'm going to say the same thing. So Jay Shetty said this. He goes, when you open up your social media first thing in the morning, you've just, you're laying in bed, and picture this right now, right? You're laying in bed, kind of just open your eyes, and all of a sudden you go to grab for that phone. And the first thing you do is check social. And you haven't even gotten your thoughts together yet. You're still in bed. He compares it to going and opening up your front door, then opening up your bedroom door, and letting hundreds, maybe thousands of screaming people come into your bedroom talking about all the bullshit in the world that they want to talk about before you even got your shit together. Put that in perspective. Would you do that?
Yeah. No, I don't think anybody would.
Who would do that?
No.
And everybody sits here going, hell no. No? Yeah? Did you pick up your phone first thing this morning? Well, yeah. Then you did it.
Yeah.
Mindset,
there's a comment that I always try and tell people when we're talking about social media and implementing tools. And when I talked about the celebritization of the industry, I'm like, I'm part of the problem. Like, I put out a ton of content. People ask me to speak. They do all those things. I'll deal with that in a second. But I said, like, social media, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, all the platforms, creating content, digital print, they're a tool. The question I want people to ask themselves is, are you using the tool or is the tool using you? Like a simple thing I did for TikTok, because I like TikTok. I find myself doom scrolling for no reason. I'm like, I cannot scroll until I've posted my piece of content. It's time blocked. I don't touch my phone in the morning until I get my prayer, my journaling, my workout in, and then it's 7 o'clock. And I give myself, yeah, like a good 2 hours, right? And I think like these are little things that I want people to write down, and even jump in the comments if you're on YouTube and tell us if you're doing these types of things in your world, because I do think they make a massive difference long-term in your personal development. I really think that's the heart of what you're getting at, David. I think the industry sells you this comparison. We know that comparison is the thief of joy. And that's why I brought up the speakers. That's why I brought up that everything's changing and people really need to do a lot more self-work and even shrink their database, to the point where I talked to a top producer. She got 250 agents in the States on her team yesterday. And she was talking about how, you know, she got a call from a lead. The client was going to start working with her. And she got that inkling that this is one of those time vampires. They're not my people. Am I prostituting myself to work with them just to get a sale? She said, no, I'm not willing to put myself into this negative energy space just to get a paycheck. I would rather lose that client and find my people. And I truly do think, David, tell me if I'm wrong, but the people that I see out there like you are really starting to identify that. I think that's the next renaissance in our business is we're going to find our people. But who are your people? Who are my people? And how can we create a better community together? Let's do away with this comparison and let's really, really refine who we are and what we offer. Because I think the world thinks we're all the same. They think we're all terrible. They think we have nothing to offer. And if we don't change that perception, we're going to be gone in 10 years because we will be replaceable unless we do that self-discovery. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's a deep statement for sure. And I think that there's absolutely an agreement there in with respect to, you know, figure out who you are and finding those people, right? And this is where we come back to database. I mean, look, again, a few moments ago, we talked about, or I brought up the overglorification of the word lead.
Mm-hmm. I like that a lot, actually.
But it's the bright, shiny object.
Yeah. What is the lead? Just like, what is the team?
How long have you been in this business, though?
Oh, man, now you're making me show my age. Since 2012.
Sorry, bro.
Decade.
Okay,
yeah.
Check this out, though. You look in this and you say 2012, say a decade, without getting into specifics on your numbers, et cetera, but did repeat referral business big?
Massive. Like I'd say
massive.
Massive. Yeah, it's huge.
Can you give us a percentage?
I'd say we attract 90% of our business. I would say out of that 90%, at least 60% is repeat and referral. Yeah. So I'd say it's up there. And then that 10% is people that don't know us that typically find their way into our ecosystem.
Okay. So when we look at this and specifically speaking, you know, I share with agents and groups all the time, 70 to 90% of your business typically probably comes from repeat referral. Yeah. From there, it all obviously depends on what you're working on. Like I spoke to somebody recently who does very little referral business whatsoever. And admittedly, just because they don't work their database, but they're still making, you know, 7 figures a year. So I'm looking massive opportunity. You're obviously doing something very good, right? But when you look at that and think, again, 79% of our business is database. You come back to the whole thing, this overglorification of lead. The bright, shiny object still always has been and always will be is repeat referral.
It's true.
Yet we got lost on that because of the tech. We got lost on that because of trying to keep up with the Joneses. We got lost on that because of the sheeple mentality. So I wholeheartedly believe that when people do figure out, and when I say figure out who you are, right? You may look in the mirror right now and say, I'm not a brand. I'm me. I'm David Greenspan. Okay, cool. So what are you doing for that database for those people to believe you are their person? That's where I believe everybody's going to win. That's where, again, as we talk about the future of real estate, I want to emphasize to everybody, really focus in on your database. If we're talking social media, it's not just about running the ads on that stuff, but it's about getting engaged with your audience, right? Because you've got an audience on there. And when you're not spending money, it's all organic. So by posting something, which when we talk about what's getting the most traction on social for posting, it's all the personal stuff, right? And I'm not talking you sitting there drinking a glass of champagne in front of a big ass mansion. I'm talking about you posing with the family. I'm talking about you doing something if you got children, something with your children. I'm talking about maybe something that you love to do as a personal pastime. That's the type of stuff that gets traction. I can see the difference. And you said it a minute ago, and I'll say it again. Yeah, I'm part of the problem on social as well in terms of the noise. None of it's negative. It's all positive. It's all there to help you. It's all free value add. But we post a lot, right? We post a lot so we can get messages across. Yet again, I'll say it. The stuff that gets the traction is when I put up the picture of like me, my dad, and my son the other day, right? Like 3 generations, or like my wife and I going out for date night or something or whatever. That's the stuff that gets traction.
Always, yeah.
So if you look in the mirror and you go, who am I? Look around you. Who are you? What do you like? What do you love? Write it down. Okay. I call it the lifestyle list. Figure out, I mean, I will tell you right now, for me, it's hockey. It's baseball. So we'll say sports, right? It's my Harley. I love my Harley.
I was going to say motorcycles for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. I love my kids, obviously, like top of the list, right? Family, top of the list, right? And I'm on a mission now, which I started, you know, and I did all last year, but I really started going hardcore in September, working out, going to the gym, right? I got goals. And so I'm on a mission to continue to do that. So that's part of my lifestyle, right? Then you can talk about like barbecuing and smoking meat and that type of stuff. But people might say, yeah, but how's that going to get me a deal? If I post about me barbecuing ribs and I get all these people going, Dave, oh my God, what sauce did you use? Or how well did you cook them? Do you think those people like ribs? They probably do. There's a commonality. I'm a Leafs fan. You're a Habs fan. But we could talk hockey all day. There's a commonality. So again, when we think about who am I was in Arizona speaking at an event one day. And I got off stage and the room broke for lunch. And this one lady, she comes up and I could see it in my head. And there's this beautiful glass facade behind us with like a golf course and palm trees and cactuses out there. Just, it was amazing. And she's sitting there smashing her chicken sandwich while she's talking to me. And she's saying like, oh, I love what you did and blah, blah, blah. And she says something about social media. And I said, so like, how often are you posting? What are you doing? She goes, oh, no. She's still smashing that sandwich. She's like, I don't really post much. I'm like, why? She goes, I don't think people really care much about like what I'm up to. I'm like, what? She goes, yeah, like, why am I important? I said, well, let me ask you something. Did you go on social today? She says, yeah. I said, why? She's smashing the sandwich. She sort of does the shoulder shrug. She's like, you know, like she doesn't even know why she went. Because most people don't even realize that they're on social media when they're on social media. It's like, holy shit, I'm on social media. Let me put it down. I said, did you go there looking for the secret to the fountain of youth? She's like, no. So did you go there looking for like the most important piece of content you've ever seen before? No. So why were you there? She's like, I don't know. I said, so why can't you be part of that noise then? She goes, what do you mean? I said, take a picture right now of yourself eating the sandwich with this golf course behind you and tell people you're working. You're going to get people engaging with you. They might want to know what golf course you're at. So again, for everybody tuned in, that was one example of how you can figure out who are you. Think about your lifestyle. Think about the things you do each day. That's the type of stuff. And Justin, you just said it. That's the type of stuff you share with people.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's making people not afraid, right? And the 3 prompts I give people all the time, write these down if you're watching this, is what are you doing? Where are you doing it? And who are you doing it with? Those 3 prompts will give you endless amount of content. I could take a selfie. I'm with David Greenspan doing this right now. What am I doing? I'm shooting a podcast, learning about what can I do to be resilient in 2023. And, you know, that prompt has enabled me to document my life more than just yell from the ether as to how amazing I am in all my sales. I'm a contrarian to a huge, huge degree. I'm not looking to open 1 million offices, agent count, office count, the vanity metrics of our industry. I'm completely against that, even to the point where I don't like the word team. I don't like the word coach. You're a very high level coach. I know other high level coaches, but I know other people with a coaching moniker that can't sell a house for the life of them. They were just given the moniker and now that's who they are. I think people need to steer away from who they're not and dive into who they are. I want to ask you a couple rapid fire questions, but
can I talk to that for 1 second though? Because we brought that up before.
Nuts.
And I think that's a big one that you were saying. Because we brought up the idea of like, you know, changing what you're doing. And again, to everybody looking ahead to 2023, I want you to focus on your goals, right? Pen to paper, write down what it is you want to achieve. I want to go on a vacation. How many? Where? When? Get specific. I want to lose weight. How much? What are you going to do to lose the weight? I want to make more money. Great. What are you going to do to make more money? You got to write it down. Once you write that stuff down, okay, that's what you focus on in a day. And if your goal is to be a coach, trainer, whatever, then write it down and build the business. If your goal is to be a speaker, then write it down and make sure you build the business. But don't just say that that's what you do, when what you really do is you help people buy and sell real estate. Now, here's the other thing to that I just want to wrap up on. We go out there touting as part of our content strategy how much money we've made, right? Not everybody, but there's a lot of people that do that. Look how much money I made. Look how much I sold it for. Look at this. Look at that. Look at my fancy whatever. Yet so many of the people in this industry are so freaking cheap. It boggles my mind. So on one hand, you could sit there and say, hey, look how much money I'm making. On the other hand, you go, oh, that's too much. Well, what do you think the perception is out there then? Right? You want everything for free, yet you want to get paid all that money, and you expect you should get paid all that money, but you don't expect you should pay other people. That's the type of stuff that, again, for me, this is where the industries begin to really change. Okay. And there's a lot of between the lines on that, but I don't understand that part of it. Right. And I think the advice to everybody is, stay in your lane, really write down those goals, focus on what it is you're trying to actually achieve this year. Don't just do stuff on the side for the sake of doing it. Do it with purpose.
Yeah, I do think what you focus on expands, right? And I do that. I write it down. I nothing against people that want to become a speaker or coach or anything like that, but you got to develop the expertise. I think it's fantastic. I've had to do course corrections in what people think I am. I had a guy post something yesterday saying that I was a coach, and I DM'd him. I'm like, dude, I'm not a coach. I am in production. I'm an agent and a CEO of the companies. Like I own the brokerage. That's what I am. If you want to ask me questions about that, I'll share everything, but I'm not a coach and I'm not a speaker. I actually put up really high walls around where I'm going to speak in 2023 because I found myself in situations previously where I speak somewhere and then I realize it's a recruitment event for a competing brokerage that I'm not super interested in, but I'm okay in collaboration. And I think people just need to go through that soul searching. Got to get you the rapid fire questions. I'm sure we can sit around for 3 hours and talk. You're a wealth of knowledge. Anybody in the comments that wants to connect with David, just reach out to him. The links will be in the show notes. I would definitely encourage you to go follow his socials. You can see his terrible taste in hockey teams, but if you like motorcycles and barbecue, definitely something you should check out. So what's something that you would tell somebody that's just coming into the industry for the first time? Like what's one piece of advice you'd give a new realtor?
Build your database. Do it before you brush your teeth tonight.
Love it. And it's free. You can actually go on LinkedIn and Instagram and look at your phone book and start adding people into your database. It's absolutely key.
And to anybody that hasn't exhausted their Facebook list and stripe that against your contact list, I encourage you, you want more people in your database, you want more opportunities, go figure out who you don't have from Facebook on your actual CRM.
Fascinating. What are you learning right now?
I am learning. Ooh, man, I'm reading, I read 2 to 3 books a month. I read a lot. So we've been learning about, creating positive experiences. We've been learning about, helping people. We do a lot of mindset stuff. So, I mean, I will feed my brain with anything from business knowledge to marketing knowledge to mindset knowledge. We got people that go through lots of different things in life. And so being able to help them, and that's us getting better at our craft. Right. So again, it's always about marketing. It's always about mindset with us. And that's something that I try to feed my brain with. And like I said, I read every single day, 20 to 30 minutes a day. If I'm at the gym, it's over an hour that I read. So it's powerful stuff, but I encourage everybody, no matter what, if it's a podcast, a video, a book, read every day, 30 minutes. That's all it takes.
What's your reading schedule? Like, how do you bang through 2 to 3 books a month?
Like I said, so first and foremost, just like anything else, social media has a line item, email has a line item, reading has a line item, working out has a line item, playing hockey has a line item, doing my presentations and coming on podcasts has a line item. Everything is treated the same. So my goal is my address. My calendar is my GPS. It's my navigation. So I know where I've got to be and when I've got to be there, how much time I have to be able to be there. So I will put in reading and reviewing my goals as the first thing I do in the morning. Once I've hydrated, I've gotten ready for the day. The first thing I'm going to do when I open up the tech, I'm going to look at my goals. Then I'm going to do my reading. And if the reading doesn't get done at that moment, because I know I'm going to work out today, I don't pump tunes in my ears when I'm working out. As much fun as it would be to do so, I read. When I'm driving, if I'm not on a phone call, I haven't got the windows down with the music up, I read. So yes, it's audible. I listen to my books. My kids make fun of me all the time. Daddy, you're not reading. You're listening. But the reality is that's how I'm able to do it, right? Is maxing out the time, being able to sort of multitask on that, but there's a lot of focus on it.
Have you read Big Money Energy, Sirhan's book?
I have not.
Okay, I had to think of a random one. So every guest on this podcast actually gets a book for coming on. So I'm going to send it to you. It's actually that one right there. You want paperback? You want audio?
Audio. You have Audible?
Okay. Yeah. Done. I'll flip that to you.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing for sure, man. I appreciate that, bro. Thank you.
No problem at all. All right. So last most important question. You are standing at the very, very top of one prime place. It happens to be the biggest building on the planet. You can talk to the entire planet. What is your final message for our audience?
You can do this. People have stood on the moon, supposedly. Wasn't there, but they said they've been there. There are people that want, Elon Musk wants to create a colony on Mars. He believes he can. The reason that people achieve is because they believe they can and they put in the effort to do it. That's the difference. So set those goals, quantify those goals, leverage the schedule, so empower time to manage you. And no matter what happens, because there's going to be ups and downs, there's going to be a hell of a lot more downs than there are ups in a day. That means that you're working towards success. So you can do it. Don't let anything stop you.
I appreciate that. I got a couple of big takeaways from this episode as well. If you're watching this, drop your takeaway in the comments. Go follow David in the social profiles. And this will not be the last time you see him on the Prime People podcast. Appreciate you as always, Mr. David.
Thank you, brother. Justin, thank you. And hey, all the best for everything you're doing out there. Keep doing you because it's working, bro. Thank you for having me.
I'll see you, my man. Thank you. Take care.